Former Attorney General Godfred Dame abusua waba etinisu efa legal vacation trials ekoso ne client ye friend no Abdul Hanan na say okopie mo court na okopie mo court no na Godfred Dame refuse say obeba be pie mo court no ye van say odwane wa ma me pie na Godfred Dame aba be break silence on legal vacation trials all ka say court no entumi enka insinebo say ne client no say ono Godfred Dame no wamba court no ebe mano ayeden ato court no beto a case ne so anase cross examination ono ankasa na be yeden ebeye enya dia court ne bitumi ayesa no no during the time as Attorney General no enya dia cases bia so during legal vacation. Nti no Godfred Dame right now no ababo nti osu say no I file a petition e dia akoma Chief Justice say cases na so no enya dia omomo ne yeden eje ho nti ye hot case na right now no formal Attorney General Godfred Dame osu etre CJ ene judges na abusu enya asem keto akra no de oche or say court ne de enya dia obekone obesan so akochina enti no oguso fight Chief Justice and the High Court judges enye asem keto akra and the client Abdul Hanan no sisiano emu ayedin ama Godfred Dame ne sa the client ni na abusuya right now no Godfred Dame edin sem bibra ababetuja mo me enko na yenkonkoti ensem enko so ne ba ye de aka ato amoso unsubscribe ya subscribe na hit on the notification bell so na be ya any update be ebe drop no wonso onsa ebetumi aka bi na Ghana ha open computer papa and a laptop papa na we use abura perosi computers and accessories ho and albania laptop papa na we using location enye ira kwan Kumase Bokrom Estate Eli Godfred Dame ono o say if se court no ekoso na cross examination no ekoso without ono ne appearance and as say ono be ba be pie mo court wa ye be hwe president ye be set no Ghana ha say Godfred Dame esu emu ayeden e di amane yenkonkoti no
court on why it's still proceedings that we have filed should stay in the hands of the court. How does the media make as a headline the fact that I'm no war? Of course, I understand that the fact that I'm no war was just one of the submissions made by my client in court the last time, and that's a matter of fact. And that's the reason why I came today to dispel the falsehood out there. Allegations are heard by the Deputy Attorney General that I was no war and all that. And that's most unbecoming. I've been in this practice for many years, over 23 years and all, and I've never had any issue like that. I'm the kind who definitely will not avoid proceedings except warranted or except the circumstances that are very necessary. And so that is it. And that's why I came today to dispel the doubt. Yes, of course, it's a matter of record. That was no war. But that's not the main issue. The reason why we came today was to satisfy the court on why motion for stay proceedings we have filed long before all these controversies and issues came up should warrant the court halting proceedings pending the termination of that motion pending at the Court of Appeal. So, and the court indicated that, well, because of the ruling here, the judge had made earlier in the morning, he was going to first wait until the Supreme Court rules, and after the Supreme Court has ruled, then we come and satisfy him again on the point we are making, that in view of the pendency of the motion filed at the Court of Appeal, it should stay his hands.
But you are insisting that you are not going to be available for...
Yes, indeed, I'm not going to be available. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to be available, and it's in keeping with the position I've taken all along, that we did not attend trials in the vacation, except pursuant to agreement between the parties. Has never happened before. I've been Attorney General, and not even once was any accused person or any litigant, whether in civil or criminal proceedings, compelled to conduct a trial in the vacation or attend trial in the vacation. It has never happened before, so why should it happen now? What was the basis for the agency? There's no emergency about this matter. The only circumstances throughout my over 23 years of practice that warranted the court sitting. We're actually in election-related matters, the case Ransford France against the Attorney General and Electoral Commission 2012. I conducted it together with the former Attorney General Joe Gatti and all. And at that time, yes, we're just 3 months to election, and the Supreme Court needed to determine whether the proposed regulations submitted to Parliament by the Electoral Commission were constitutional or not. And the court heard the application for interlocutory injunction in the vacation and adjourned the hearing of the substantive matter, as far as I recall, to October. So really, these are matters, and of course I've had various other cases as well, and there has never been a compulsion on parties to attend trial. Nothing that it is these traditions, rules and conventions that we seek to protect. It cannot be that it can be one set of rules for one set of people, another set of rules for different set of people. The application we make regarding civil proceedings is one that is not new. Indeed, when I was at Attorney General, when matters like the Stormson and all were argued, the court actually stayed its hands. Justice Chibafo of the Court of Appeal all the time stayed his hands whenever an application for civil proceedings was filed in the NCA matter. And so, what is new? I think that we bring unnecessary trouble and controversy to the nation through unwarranted matters. I mean, how can you just fix a trial in the vacation without the consent to the parties? Was it pursuant to the Attorney General's wish or pursuant to the Attorney General's letter? When I was Attorney General, I wanted any matter to be dealt with expeditiously. The media heard about it. I wrote a formal petition to the Chief Justice. The contents were actually even published and all that. It was never an occasion on which a person was surreptitiously, or as Attorney General, I would urge the Chief Justice to fix the matter for hearing the vacation. So the question I ask myself is, how come this matter has been fixed for hearing the vacation? Was it pursuant to the request of the Attorney General? And if it was not, was the Chief Justice himself exercising discretion without consulting the parties and forcing hearing dates on the parties? That clearly is wrong.
If you don't show up next week, it means that your client may be compelled to defend himself.
I have my doubt that will not happen, because next week what is for consideration is whether the civil proceedings we have filed at the Court of Appeal should hold the hands of the court. In any event, I'm saying that there cannot be a trial in the vacation. If the court indeed wants to order my client to conduct a case by himself, so be it. And we see the kind of dangerous precedent that will be set in this country. A party has a right to legal representation, to counsel of his choice, and that right is constitutional. It cannot be taken away from a person just by the stroke of the pen of any person.
So your comments here is that criminal matters shouldn't be heard during the legal vacation, but every other trial can proceed.
Not only criminal matters, but civil matters. And that's a long-standing tradition. I mean, point to one case in which a matter, whether civil or criminal, has been tried in the vacation without the agreement of the parties. It's never done. I mean, as Attorney General, I understand the state attorneys actually agreed with one counsel to hear a matter on the 1st and 2nd of August. Only 2 days in the vacation. And after the matter was adjourned to October. Was never throughout the vacation as we see here. So the question I ask myself, what has changed? Are there any set of rules being made? If you want to scrap legal vacation, then scrap it all for everybody. You cannot discriminatorily select about 3 or 4 cases and say you're going to subject them to trial in the vacation. And indeed, all the cases, people made the point that Justice Achibonga has a general warrant. But that is deceptive, because that general warrant is actually for him to sit in the court, and that court deals with only these cases, only these 3 or 4 cases. Beyond that, Justice Achibonga does not conduct any trial in any matter. So the trial, the warrant, with all respect, is limited to the conduct of these matters. And that we contend, with all respect, is discriminatory and must be, I think that must be deplored.
Marina, it appears this debate concerning the legal vacation is not going to go away anytime soon. Essentially, it's going to be decided at the Apex Court. That was the former Attorney General and counsel for the former Buffer Stock CEO, Hanan Aludiba, commenting on issues that emanated from court proceedings today. But even before we pick on that, earlier there was a Edubuahin court case where it had to be adjourned because of that injunction application which has been filed at the Apex Court. Now, quite apart from that suit which has been filed by the Ofasan Yorubi MP filing the suit at the Supreme Court, challenging that discretion or direction by the Chief Justice regarding the legal vacation sittings. There's also been an injunction application restraining all the courts sitting on the criminal matters. In this case, Specialized Courts 1 and Specialized Courts 2. Now, these two courts, I should say, are hearing a number of criminal cases, including Hanan, the former NPA boss, Addo and other cases as well. And so this was what happened in court today. And then the same reason was discharged regarding the Hanan case. Now, you recall that last week the former Attorney General Godfred, who is the lead counsel for Hanan, failed or did not show up in court, among other reasons. One was his health reason. The other was that he had filed an application which he had indicated that until he said he will not show up. And so he has indicated that because of reports regarding his health, that's why he came today. And then there was also the issue that the court directed that he has to be in court today to move that application to stay proceedings pending his application at the Court of Appeal. Well, the presiding judge Namasa indicated that he's not going to proceed to hear that case because of that injunction application which has been filed at the Supreme Court, Marina. So basically the case now has been adjourned to next week, Monday, August 25, for by which time the injunction application would have been determined by the apex courts, and then we'll see the way forward regarding these cases.
As Lord Edwasare with a bit more for us.
And resulting in financial losses. Ibrahim Abubakar is our Ashanti region correspondent, joining us with a bit more on this story. Ibrahim, what other concerns do these tanker drivers have? Ibrahim, you'd have to unmute so we can hear you here.
Well, so I was saying that the meter reading issue is a major concern for the tanker drivers, because they said that alleged discrepancies are resulting in huge financial losses. Now, the explanation is that in addition to the trackers installed in their vehicle, even with police escort, that the tankers are also sealed before leaving the loading point. And these seals can only be broken in the presence of authorized officials. And for that matter, it makes it very, very difficult for drivers to tamper with the petroleum product. However, they claim that after leaving Tema for Kumasi, shortages are sometimes recorded by the time the tankers arrive. And they suspect the problem could be linked to the new metering system and are calling for it to be thoroughly checked. Now, another concern they also raised has to do with lack of adequate parking facilities for tanker trucks in Kumasi. Now, the issue is that because of the limited parking spaces, and the drivers are forced to park most of these trucks along the road, particularly while waiting to load or discharge petroleum products at bus. And this, they say, exposes them and other road users to safety risks, whilst also contributing to traffic congestion along the Kasi route. And for that matter, they want authorities to, as a matter of urgency, intervene to, one, ensure that they fix the meter issue, and also make sure that the place that has been allocated for them is being properly done, and for it to be more convenient for them, so that anytime the drivers get to Kumasi, they will get a safe place to park their vehicles before they will load or even offload some of these petroleum products. Let's listen to the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the Tanker Drivers Union in the morning when he spoke to the media.
A new seal, a friend Abba. Nasino, yet the phone cranny be. It is a seal, Sino AP de Tamawa, Omia Ludu, near the seal boma. I guess a Nipan Baby be Kutano, as a phone on the Biwa. Still, yes, I should take. Yes, Silly Diabano, yes, 2 years near Chagrin was in a chip, near Cairo for Nakatia. Yet to be load every inside the war, head to inside the war, near Soto. that police are now, yes, I say I load one man, another enter ko load no. He disguise point one near short to. And he say, somebody and say Jim, and nobody and say Bossy. Mobasha, a coin who I a packet car crown, Nancy a packet car come about 2 months ago. Emma, Timakabe ball, Yakabacum, Petru Yamen Quakase, hanging Abashi. And easy, Tiapaka Kwanwa, Bohona Municipal, Abeloko, Ascot Municipal Beloko say, Yajija Crown, a safety, tanker, and you can say Jacka Crown. And so I'm a boss, Omunia may be encoyenti, as I see that way I saw Muya Mayano, Omunia Maye, until the prayer to the bar, near Paka Crown, maybe I don't for better, Omunia.
Now, Ibrahim, what impact could this strike have on petroleum consumers, particularly if it continues?
Well, Germany, for now, the drivers say the action is limited to only 3 days, meaning that the immediate impact on petroleum consumers may be minimal for now, if maybe operations resume as planned. However, if the strike is prolonged, like you mentioned, it could disrupt the transportation and distribution of some of these petroleum products to the filling station. This could result in delays when it comes to the supply of fuel. And this will mean that when we get there, there may be possible shortages at some of the filling stations. And so for that matter, they are just demanding urgent engagement with relevant authorities to address both the meter reading concerns and also shortage of parking facilities.
I see. Do we know if there's been any response or intervention from authorities?
Well, for now, before we left there, officials of BOST were engaging them to and plead with them to resume operations, but they are saying no until they hear or it's until concrete steps are taken to address their concerns. They are not coming to it because the ones who came to engage them are not at the high level that they take some of these decisions. So they will want people who are at the high or at the top to come and tell them something assuring so that they will come to them or they will open dialogue and for that matter resolve the issue and enable them to return to it. So as we speak, they are still on their sit-down strike. You go there, you find them around, but no one is moving any vehicle.
Very well, Ibrahim, we'll leave it here for now. Thank you so much for your time. Ibrahim Abubakar is our Ashanti region correspondent. We've just been looking at that situation with tanker drivers in the Ashanti region. They're asking for better metering, but also a proper parking space at BOST in Kumasi. Now, let's turn attention to another issue to do with fuel products, because this time, what we are learning is that there is a reduction in the commodity at the pump. I want to take us through what this could be. This could mean that there is a reduction of about 2 cedis for that of petrol. Because we know just this morning there's been a marginal decrease in fuel price at the pump. I want us to understand what could be the impact on this matter in terms of what we're seeing in the Ashanti region, but also the general pump price, ex-pump price at the fuel stations when you go to buy because of the new pricing window. Duncan Amoa is Executive Director for the Consumer Kupek. Let's have a quick conversation with him on the back of what we are hearing. Duncan, good morning to you. Duncan, I want to start off with what we are hearing about the new pricing window and the reduction we will see. Talk to us about that.
Good afternoon again. I am sure Ghanaians are still watching the various pumps to see the sort of reductions or stability they see. What what we have recorded so far, OMC's price of petrol, diesel prices have stayed, hasn't been maintained. Although prior to the start of the window, projections from us and projections from COMAC indicated that it was going to be one of a mixed bag where diesel would go up, petrol could decline. What we have seen some of the OMCs so far as of this time do is to maintain prices of products largely, whilst for some a few other OMCs, they've declined on the cost of petrol whilst maintaining the cost of diesel.
Right.
That for the consumer is very positive because diesel clearly could have also gone up if they wanted to apply the full strength of the price indicators you saw over the past 2-week period.
And do we expect this reduction to last, and for how long, outside of the pricing window issues? The drivers that are pushing this down, how long do you project that it will last?
We are in a reduction period. What you have now points more to stability than reduction. And so for most of the OMCs, for most Ghanaians buying petrol, diesel for this window, you are likely to see prices that you had before the start of the window maintained at the pumps. And I think that we should be communicating more towards the stability than an absolute reduction,
right,
as we have been told. Yes.
I see. But then at the same time, we see what is happening in the Ashanti region. The fuel tanker drivers are protesting their meter discrepancies. In fact, they say they are on a 3-day sit-down strike. Based on your industry knowledge, what could the impact be?
What I can confirm to you is that I've even entered the meeting of some sort that the leader engage issues that the Kumasi local branch drivers have raised. One, they talk of a very poor car park that they insist had iron rods destroying their car tires and all of that. So general working condition or environment as far as where they go to load the product from, I get the indication from boss that there's even a new car park being constructed for the driver. So that conversation is happening. The conversation is happening as we speak. My expectation will be that by close of day, that sit-down strike would have been called off. If it doesn't get called off, what it will mean is that the central belt or the Ashanti belt, you may begin to see some shortages at some stations here and there, because these are the primary workforce that will move the petroleum product from the depot in Kumasi to the various stations across the region. If they are not moving, what it means is that petroleum products are not moving. But I believe strongly that the general issues that they have raised concerning the car park largely is being addressed as we speak. Let's see what happens by close of day. If they don't go back to work by close of day or tomorrow, we can have this conversation. But I do strongly believe that some of the issues that the drivers have protested or are sitting down to protest are currently being addressed. But if they don't move, then we could be talking about shortages in Ashanti over the next couple of days.
Very well. We'll leave it here, Duncan. Duncan is Executive Director for COPEC.
And a bit more stories in relation to fuel prices this afternoon. And petrol prices were expected to fall by up to 5%, while diesel prices were estimated to go up by 2% at the local pumps from August 16. The expected increase has been attributed largely to the depreciation of the cedi, which rose the cost of importing petroleum products. So far, only Star Oil has adjusted its diesel prices, while other oil marketing companies have yet to announce any changes. The development could put additional pressure on transport operators and businesses that rely heavily on diesel, particularly if the city continues to weaken. But we see that the city in the last few days as well has been appreciating against the US dollar. We've also seen the NPA price floor as well in terms of how much diesel is supposed to go by declining. Benjamin Nsia is the executive director of the Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy. He's joining us via the phone lines for quick reactions to these price adjustments as we're seeing. Ben, appreciate you as always for speaking to us here on the bulletin.
So abusuya we ne ensma ekoso ewo political highway so eye Godfred ame na yete ne nka odesa ensem no to da yenso ye de bi ebrem we bedamase samo jepene kokoti sa ensem we e de ma yete so Godfred ame ene nua atache ade omode omse omonche na eda ebe bom esi ebo so ama omo no omo ankasa omo hu de ebesi ogana ye bedamase samo jepene kokoti sa ensem we e de ma